we've had almost 10 years of devolution. And one of the things that we realize is that devolution, even though it's an excellent thing, the implementation has come with a lot of pain points. Right at the beginning, we found that we had created 47 counties, but they were now operating like 47 countries. So moving a product from one to the other was a very significant challenge at the beginning. It still remains a challenge with some counties up to now. So if the national government and the county government can have a conversation that allows them to align the policies, one, it creates predictability. So when you're going to a certain county, you already know what the rates will be. There are things that need to be harmonized. If I'm using my truck through the various counties, it doesn't mean I'm advertising. And if I must pay for it, maybe I should be paying at the source county and then being able to move. So for us, our greatest cry is the cost of doing business. It will also allow us to help and support local manufacturing more. Actually, our cry to government is just one: the cost of doing business. If we can work on the cost of doing business, I think we will not only promote local developments, but we will also grow agriculture and manufacturing. I keep saying I do not think a country can grow on a strong agriculture and a strong manufacturing if it doesn't have a strong retail. Retail is the connection between the consumer and the producer, between the consumer and the farmer. So we need to develop a strong retail sector. The only way to do that is to ensure that we are looking at the cost of doing business. I'll give you.
Yeah, so I think we always need to work with government to grow hand in hand, to be very proactive within policy making and really understand what the needs of the end consumer are and how do we ease doing business in Kenya, because ultimately the final benefit will go to the end consumer. So that's where we need to work very, very closely with government. But at the same time, I believe a government looks at bigger policies, and us as retailers, how do we create a framework ourselves such that we become strong independently, create an ecosystem and a network within ourselves so that we can grow, we can differentiate ourselves and really indulge the senses of our end consumer to make it a great customer experience. In particular, as we keep on growing and expanding from Nairobi to upcountry, we're seeing, being faced with various different charges. There's different city council rates for different districts. And what I'd love is if government could come together and really simplify the licenses, create a greater level of unification such that we're able to get a single business permit which covers everything. And this will really help, retailers flourish, work better, work easier, so that we ease the cost of doing business in Kenya and really get to the end customer, which is the true reason why retailers exist.
Thank you very much, John, for that presentation. As we have on the panel, we have PISA, which are payment solution provider. We have RETRAK International, as it's now known. Judy being, it's correct to call you a payments aggregator. Yeah. Where is the Kenyan payments landscape currently?
Thank you, Leonard. If you look at, so we're quite in an advanced stage, and I would say even the retail business.
Able to understand that in the last about 10 years, from cash being the primary source of payment, we now have M-Pesa, which is still to trend around the world. And as she said, we've got our neighboring countries still not able to implement that as well as we do. To work with our point of sale systems. M-Pesa has been one of the cheapest in terms of commissions, and the most expensive has been payers. What happens is there's a paper trail, and we've noticed that since the beginning of this year, from 25% cash, we've moved up to 20%. The future of payments is digital, but with a lot of integration with the tax systems, they might.
I think for what we have from a Kenyan landscape perspective, we have done a fantastic job. All of us in this room, because we have all participated in one way or another. I hope online is convenience. It's because either I don't have the time or whatever. There's a lot of opportunity for us as ecosystem players to how do we make it better from a convenience perspective, the customer experience, how do we make that better? And I think that's a sweet spot, if you ask me.
Thank you very much, John. And let's move. M-Pesa was as successful as it was is because it was built on very specific local nuances. Perspective, I see that we are waiting to adopt what comes from other markets, tap, and other things.
It is that today, if you go on your M-Pesa app, you will find a Visa card. So to make sure that you as a customer, embedded within the M-Pesa app is to enable you to pay for Visa, because Visa is a global brand. So then the question then is from wherever, but it's a local solution. That was something we created within our innovation center here, right here in. So it's from that perspective that that we are looking at it from that side. And that's not the only solution. Some of the solutions that we have spoken to, like tap to pay from ABSA, and we have done stuff with Judy here in
You have to be very positive into that. This cost of payments is an issue. We appreciate that moving to a very heavily mobile and digital payment landscape has reduced the cost of moving money generally for retail.
It is a great question, I agree, Christoph. So I think the first is to appreciate where the industry has come from. So I think cost of payments has which is fast, and we are deploying that consistently. Some of the things we are doing in Canada on our end is to ask ourselves, how then we help the retail? Someone who is handling a retail or here at the market to be able to have one flat rate, because today it buys. Okay, so we'll have one flat rate and it will be much lower than the current rate system.
In that particular suggestion. Karim, you brought in, I don't know if it's get started. What you see as innovation.
Discouraging by offering better price for not having a tailor or a job. And gradually customers are adapting to that. But in terms as we basically every day.
I think there's an opportunity for an industry to grow. And also, I think it's very important for us as industry to really appreciate
The panel and also those who may have any questions. Lastly, let's talk about innovation. John, you rightly say that as adoption is going to be important into association, but how or what tools do you have?
So these are some of the things in this the earlier you are perspective, we
maneno safi.
So today here, as a retail ecosystem, we are both business drivers and also consumers. So you will find that within these we play on both sides of the coin. So from a consumer perspective, there are certain things that you as a consumer will benefit. So whether it's buy now, pay later solution.
And however big they are and the presence they have in town,
they don't accept M-Pesa or Visa. Many of us know. And it is very interesting, and it speaks to what Mr. Karim has been talking about, and it has been given, that if you tap in, there is that flexibility when you pay with card. Some of us are victims of what has now acquiring issue. So please understand that if you don't please work on that. And I just want to make a statement here in the earlier session.
I agree, and from a visa standpoint, we are cognizant of that. Two things that we need to do, and the first one is, I think Judy alluded to it, we already in engagement with the regulator to see how do we try and build a local